Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today is the first Friday of November. That would be the 4th for all you guys without a calendar. And wow, the year is flying by. We are almost to the holiday season here. We have some kit announcements. Well, actually, not kit announcements. We have some kit news to talk about. Some stuff that's going on in Japan this week. Yesterday, today, I believe possibly over the weekend, there is a hobby expo in Osaka, Japan, and it's not a big trade show the way some of the other stuff is, but of course all the manufacturers are out, and so we have some more photos of that nature to talk about. And then there was one kit released this week, Hasegawa on the ball for their November releases. And then I have some stuff that I should have included in the November video I uploaded yesterday for all the November releases. Some stuff that I had written down on other pages of this and never updated into the actual monthly thing. Bad stash report. Yeah, so that's pretty much where we're at. Because it's the first week of the month, so there's not a tremendous amount of things going on. Obviously, there won't be any kit announcements. We've covered that, the November stuff for the domestic side of things in the compilation video that we uploaded yesterday. And then, of course, we have, the Japanese stuff going into January already. So it's not like there's going to be any major kit announcements this week. Kit releases obviously will not be out for another week, so this was going to be a really, really abruptly short video today, probably only a few minutes long, and then we did get a kit release this morning in Japan, and we've gotten a bunch of pictures posted on Facebook that we are going to be sharing with you of some some runner shots of some new kits that will be coming out at the end of the year, beginning of next year. So, first up, the stuff that I should have mentioned in yesterday's November compilation video are from two companies. One is Hasegawa. Hasegawa will be reissuing in limited quantities. They tend to do these limited releases every now and then. Their Toyota Corolla 11 GT Apex, and that's the street version of their rally kit. The Toyota Celica GT4 RC, same thing. It's a street version of their rally car. And their version of the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 4, which again ends up being a street car of their rally kit. I have the Evo 4. I think it's far superior to the Fujimi Evo 4. The Fujimi Evos in general all share the same chassis and a great deal of the same parts. They're not exactly prototypical in that sense. They're not terrible kits by any stretch of the imagination. However, I will admit to trying to plug gaps with other manufacturers' kits when I can. That would be like the Evo 4 from Hasegawa, the Evo 6 from Tamiya, things like that. And then the one other thing was going to be the modified reissue of the N360 Honda. We'll get to that in a second. The other company with things coming out in November, because these release dates were only listed in a Hong Kong vendor, but they tend to be pretty correct on their Ebro stuff, so I'm going to roll with these. That would be the Ebro 1/20th scale Lotus Type 92 from the 1982 season, and the Honda Brabham BT18 Formula 2 1966 championship car. Both of those kits are supposed to be released in Hong Kong the middle part of this month, which means they'll probably be out towards the end of November for Japanese vendors, or they may come in at the same time. It's hard to tell. Ebro usually distributes worldwide all at the same time. So, that being said, let's take a look. I'm going to bring up my pictures on the computer here so that I can sort of reference what I'm talking about as I talk to you guys, because you guys will just be seeing pictures in front of you. We got a bunch of stuff from the... Oh, actually, I have some other stuff to talk about, too. I forgot about. Before we get into the Osaka stuff, let's talk about some teaser things here for other companies, some aftermarket stuff. Playmos, we've talked about them on numerous times with various things, are doing a set of the optional, I want to almost call them turbine, but they're not turbine like the Dukes of Hazzard. They're turbine in the sense that they're multi-spoke and sort of look like a fan blade. Wheels for the 2007 Honda Acura NSX kit from Tamiya. These sort of are the other wheels that you can order straight from the factory. It was one of those things where when I saw them mention it, it was like, oh, that's cool, not a big deal. But then as I did some research on the wheels and what they are used on, I came across this picture of a pair of NSXs that one features the Playbos wheels, the blue one, and the black one in the background there features the kit wheels. So yeah, no, I think I need another NSX because to me, the two of them together, I think make a nice pair. Maybe we'll see. The other thing that is aftermarket that I'm going to bring up here. Now, this is a very, very expensive resin trans kit. Normally, I don't bring up resin trans kits or stuff like that in general. I talk about the Playmo stuff because I have the Playmo stuff. I know the quality of it, so I'm not afraid of mentioning it to you guys for fear that you'll get some sort of junk or whatever. But I know a lot of people are very, very interested in this car, and if it didn't cost so much and I wasn't quite into this side of the racing, I wouldn't, I'd probably get one. Uh, the cost really isn't prohibitive to me as much as I'm not that into this segment of racing, and that is Profil 24, which is a French company that does very high-end resin transkits and just their own resin things, has released or will be releasing shortly a 124 scale resin. It's not really a trans kit because the base kit doesn't exist. This doesn't go on the Revell kit, but a 124th scale multimedia kit of the Ford GT Daytona 24 hours, Le Mans 24 hours car. So this is the race spec version of the Ford GT. It comes with decals to do either the Le Mans car or the Daytona car, so either one you want to do. Obviously, the Le Mans car is a little more famous since it won its class and everything like that. This kit is 138 euros, which ends up being like $150 US, and don't even get me started on conversions for other countries. But I gotta tell you guys, I don't believe the hubbub that you see on forums about Revell doing a kit of the Ford GT race car. I mean, if they do, what are they going to give you guys? Chances are it's going to be something like the C7R, where it's going to be a very, very basic, simplified kit. It'll probably look good enough, to pass on a shelf for a lot of people. However, if you're not willing to wait for that and to see if, they're going to do something with it, because they'd have to create a whole new kit. That's a thing. They can't really base it off the build and play. None of the build and play kits that subsequently later got you regular kits are the same tools. They're completely separate tools, other than maybe the body shell. However, you really can't do the body shell with the race car because, ta-da, it's a race car and it's got different, lines and diffusers and things like that. So anyway, for the people who are interested in it and have a deep pocketbook and a love for Ford and Le Mans cars, there is your solution to that problem. One other teaser before we get into the Osaka stuff is this photo that BMAX uploaded this morning. They're getting in their BMW M3 1991 DTM championship cars. These are, if you look at the background there, you see it's got an Aoshima BMAX label on the box. So these are fresh from the manufacturing facility to be distributed out here shortly. Hong Kong will get them first because they are, of course, made in Macau, part of the whole off the shore of mainland China administrative district, the same way Hong Kong is. A lot of people don't realize Hong Kong's a bunch of islands. It's not really attached to the side of China. So Hong Kong will get them first because it's in China, and everybody else will probably get them before Thanksgiving, because I know one guy, our buddy over there at SK Decals, he's got 2 of them in hand already. So be looking for a bunch of liveries to be coming off of this car. Granted, this car does sort of limit you to what you can do. It's a 91, 92 Evo 2.5 BMW, so you can't use some of the older late 80s, mid-late 80s rally decals and things like that for the M3 that was, back when the car first came into manufacturing. However, rest assured that there are more than one version of this kit coming out of BMAX over the life of this tooling. So, just be patient and, you'll get your stuff. Right now, there are probably 3 sets of decals on the market that will fit the 91, 92 car from Studio 27. They are the 92 version of the livery that's coming in the kit, and then there's 2 Japanese touring car sponsorships, one for Taison and one for Autotech. that will be that you could go buy right now, and they probably more than likely should fit this body because they were done for the resin trans kit that Studio 27 made years ago that fixed all of the body problems that the Fujimi kit had. So, assuming that the fixed resin trans kit and this kit are correct in the same way, they should fit. The only one that really has body striping that you might have to be concerned about would be the 92 livery for the Warsteiner DTM car. The Autotech and the Tyson car don't have a whole heck of a lot of striping. Anybody who's seen the Autotech car, it's yellow and it's just got a bunch of graphics placed on it, so it really doesn't matter if the roof and whatnot have been resized correctly or not, because the decals will fit for that. But like I said, we talked about it, I think last week. I know I've talked about it a bunch in general to my friends and people who know me from this show, off of the show, talking in private messages and whatnot. But expect there to be a veritable blizzard of decals for this kit coming out at the beginning of the year, running probably through the summer, because they're going to be having to sort of compete and share shelf space with all of the decals that will be coming out for the M6 GT3 car that's coming out around Christmas time from Platt's new hobbies. So it'll be very expensive if you're into buying decals coming up. All right, so going over to the Osaka stuff. These photos were posted this morning in a Japanese group called Creativity on Facebook, and they are from a young man, I believe he's 15 years old according to his Facebook profile, named Kanai Satoshi. I believe I'm pronouncing that name right. If I'm not, I apologize in advance for my terrible Japanese pronunciation. So what we have here are a couple things from Aoshima and one thing from Hasegawa. The Hasegawa thing here is going to be a parts runner layout for the Suzuki Jimny. Now, when the All Japan Hobby and Model Show was out, we of course saw a background, sort of a silhouette of these parts runners, and now you're seeing here the actual parts runners themselves in plastic. This kit's supposed to come out in the middle of December, so it's moving right along, and decals are done, so it looks like, this one will be out on time, and I'm looking forward to it, because it's just one of those weird Japanese, trucks. Not so much a weird Japanese truck, because there's nothing weird about it in a sense, but it's one of those things that, if you build one, you're going to be one of the only people that has one, just because I don't think this is not a kit that's going to be terribly popular in the United States, just simply from the fact that it's a Japanese-only car. The old Suzuki Jimny that Fujimi did, that's also the Suzuki Sidekick, that was, of course, famous for Consumer Reports fraudulently saying it would roll over. There is a version of that comes with left-hand drive and comes with Sidekick decals. And then the later version, the Suzuki, Skeeto or Scudo or whatever it was called in Japan, there's a left-hand drive, or I think there's a left-hand drive version of that, so you can make the Suzuki Vitara that we got here in the United States. I'm almost positive there's a left-hand drive version of that. That's one of the things where I'm like, yeah, there is. Is there? I think there is. But again, it's one of those. The Suzuki Vitara, of course, was the Geo Tracker. Some people have made that conversion as well. Themselves, there's no decals or anything for it. So anyway, moving along, this would be the parts runner for the Lamborghini Aventador Super Veloce. I'm really interested to see if this really sincerely has a new body. That's what's being shown here. I wouldn't think that the body that's in the Aventador, regular run-of-the-mill Aventador coupe would have needed to be modified enough to just justify tooling a whole new body. But if it does, then so be it. You also see all the other parts that are being tooled up for this kit that are new, just specific to this kit, and they are the front diffuser, the rear diffuser, the new set of wheels, your new rear spoiler area. You have a bunch of new interior parts here, including door panels, a headliner, seats. It's kind of interesting. Also, there's a new engine compartment and engine cover brace thing going on there, and a new engine cover, new top of the engine itself. You see there's new exhaust pipes. The bigger runner over there on the far right has also some new grill intake areas and things like that, and the bottom of the new rear diffuser. So you're getting a bunch of new stuff here. I always like, Aoshima has taken a ration of crap, deservedly so, for certain things, like the decals on clear parts to represent the mesh on the original Aventador, the weird body shape that the Hurricane has behind the front wheels in front of the front doors. However, they really do, try their best in the sense of when they're converting kits into the next thing, that they don't shorthand things and give you, a couple pieces that make it look right, but don't give you all of the pieces you need. Um, so that's pretty. I'm always appreciative of making it as correct as you can. And then the other thing we have to show you here will be the parts runners, which means this kit is also very close to being developed and out there. Remember, this kit is still on schedule for December, where the Pagani is sort of still floating in air as far as when this release date is. It's at December right now, but I'm not promising you anything about that release date because we're still not seeing really a lot of development on that necessarily, at least not as much as we have on the Diablo GT as far as it going forward. The Diablo GT was supposed to have been the kit that would be coming out in October prior to the Hurricane getting pushed forward in development much more. But anyway, here you see a good chunk of the parts for the exterior and the engine and things like that. You got your brakes on the runner there beside the body, and all your body parts on the runner with the separate doors. You do get a full engine here, so you don't have an engine container the way the Aventador and the Countach kits are. The top runner way up at the top right there, that's obviously going to be your clear parts because the windshield's still frosted, but that's going to be your clear parts. And then you have some interior parts, looks like the door panels and things like that on the top left runner. And then here's the rest of the kit on this picture, which has they got the tires tooled up already. The wheels will obviously probably, I don't know, they'll be chromed or not. It's interesting because you see in the way back there in the background is the actual kit built up of the test shot, and the car had sort of gunmetal wheel centers with stainless steel rims or aluminum rims or whatever they are, but they're polished, to be shiny in that sense. So it'd be interesting to see if they actually chrome those wheels and let you paint the centers, or if they just leave them blank and you're going to have to get some metallizer to make the rims. But beyond that, you've got, the big runner on the right here obviously has the engine cover, the interior, the top of the dashboard, the headliner, steering wheels and stuff. The upper right has the inner wheel fenders and a bunch of the suspension pieces. The upper left has the chassis plate and all of the rest of the suspension. And then the middle left has the bottom of the dashboard, the seats. Looks like the intake fans and some other pieces and parts there. So again, I'm thrilled to see the development of these kits. I really need to build more than I just sit here and talk about things to really probably fully appreciate the stuff that I'm talking about. I realize that it does get into a bit of hoarding over building. However, just this is a Diablo version that doesn't exist. It's not something they're duplicating a Fujimi kit, although I think they could probably blow all of Fujimi's kits out of the water just by doing a series of Diablos, going all the way back to the original design, because the Fujimi kits are these weird die-casty snap-tight things. We talked about that in the past. But, I'm just happy to see... I'm always happy to see, progression. I'm always happy to share the progression with you guys. We talk about, well, Revell's going to do these kits, and then you see nothing of Revell unless they bring the test shot boards out to a major show. And sometimes those test shot boards come out like, oh, hey, I've tried there was one here recently where they showed the tooling to the Bronco. They showed the tooling to the Bronco like a month before it came out. Okay, well, that's nice to see, but there's not a lot of anticipation when you're showing me test shot board and telling me, oh yeah, by the way, in 3 weeks from now the kit will be out. Oh, all right, it's fun to look at, but I might as well just wait for the kit. Excuse me, guys. And then last but not least will be the one kit release for this week, and that is the Honda N360 N1, or the original. This is a 1967 model Honda, so this is the first of the Honda mass-produced vehicles. They, of course, had their motorcycle line much before this. They also had a commercial truck line, small truck, granted, but it was a commercial truck line before that. But these were the first cars. Now, there is a Hasegawa kit that came out last year. That's the N360 N2, which was the later version of this. So they're sort of backdating the kit slightly. We've talked about the parts that you get here. You're going to get new wheels, a new hood, and a new dashboard. This car can be built in 3 variations: a Type M, a S or standard, and a what they're calling the N1, which is sort of the prototype car that was shown at the auto show in 1966, I believe, or early 1967, before the car came out. There was a Tokyo Auto Show, and they were like, hey, look, we're going to make cars. So You can build it one of three ways. The new wheels only get used in one of the two new ways, and then everything else is a lot of variations of stuff. You know, if you're going to make an S, it gets the fog lights or the center headlights. If you make the Type M, it gets different fender mirrors, and there's a whole bunch of little bits and pieces, and of course there's decal support for all of the different models for the fender badges and stuff like that. So it's very cool just from the historical aspect of it being the first Honda. The other kit is sort of the second Honda. It was a later version. So this is the legit first Honda. So now, like I said, you can build the first Honda. You can build the first Toyota. Be interesting to see if anyone ever makes the first Mitsubishi, because Hasegawa, of course, makes the Subaru 360. We talked about that reissue last week, and that's the first Subaru. So I'm always up for historical things. I mean, I'm not a big hot rodder or stuff like that, but I appreciate, historical American cars. So it's good to see the historical, cars of Japan getting a little bit of love from the manufacturers over there. And guys, that'll be it for this week. Next week I would be looking at decals. We should be getting our November decal stuff. What are they going to be working on? It's a little too early to be doing decals for the M3 because it's not actually technically out to the public yet. So we're going to keep doing the 962C Hasegawa cars because that's what Studio 27 has been doing so much of recently. I should mention the wheels that I talked about from Playmos at the very beginning of the video. Those will be available sometime in the middle to the end of November, so they're not technically available right now for anybody who wants those. So, just hang out and they'll be ready shortly. Obviously, we showed you that picture of them, in development stages, so they're almost done, but they're not quite there yet. And, we'll be just waiting on what else will come out of Japan at this point, because, of course, Revell's releases, and it will probably be towards the middle to the end of the month, because they don't necessarily celebrate Thanksgiving the same way we do. So there's not a big off time at the end of the month. They are going to be on national holiday the Wednesday before our Thanksgiving here in the United States. It's not it's Thanksgiving to them, but it's Thanksgiving in the sense of giving thanks to one's ancestors. And, it's not a turkey dinner, obviously. And they were closed yesterday, which is why we're kind of thin on Japanese stuff. And we have the Osaka stuff to talk about because everybody is at that. So I guess that's it, folks. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Have a good one. It's going to be a little chilly out here, but it shouldn't rain for a couple, 3 days, so that'll be nice. It's been cold, rain, hot, humid, cold, rain, hot, humid. It looks like we're going to finally have fall for a few days. So enjoy your weekend. See you guys on the other side.